my precise. Does anybody have a problem with that? I mean, I'm just asking now. If you do, just say it now.
No.
No. Hey, Joe, did anyone confront Abbott when he came to El Paso?
You know, I think we asked about the delays. Well, there's the meeting we had behind closed doors, and then they had the press. I mean, the press conference wasn't.
So we let people in, you guys. So there's other people in here.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, gotcha. Just giving you a heads up.
Don't swear, Joe.
I mean, you can swear because.
Well, Beto's here. You better believe someone.
I learned that from Chairman Anchia.
When the Holy Spirit gets inside of me, sometimes I speak in tongues.
Don't we all?
Part of my script does have a swear word. I'm sorry, I'll edit it.
You know what? You can. They already told me foul mouth, so whatever. I mean, I'm a communist baby killer, so whatever. How bad can swearing be at this point? Nobody cares. So I'm going to tell you, the old white women are already swearing on my Facebook. I just let them. It's cathartic for them. They didn't used to, but they are now. So everybody, I'm Representative Beckley, and we're going to get started here. We were just kind of chit-chatting. I'm so excited to have Beto O'Rourke on here to talk about flipping the house. And I met him, was that 2017? What year was that?
It had to be 2017.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in 2017, at his first event that he had in Denton County, and then I did a couple more. There's a couple more that we went to. And, so I'm very excited that he's here helping us flip the Texas house, because we really need to get it under control in Texas. And I think that it's going to be good this year. We are also at the end, after everybody's talking, we're going to show everybody our polling numbers, because it's very exciting. So Beto, if you want us to send them to you, I'm happy to send you.
That's not like, oh, this is the first time I ever done this. So
I didn't realize. I'd love to see him. Michelle, thanks for inviting me to join you. And it's a huge honor also to be with Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody, my fellow El Pasoan, someone of whom we are super proud here in our community, and I recognize across the state. Chairman Anchia, from whom I've learned a ton, including also how to swear in a strategic way in public speaking. He claims it's the spirit that moves him. I don't know that I've got as good an excuse, but really just an extraordinary fighter for people even beyond his district, and someone I was really inspired by, and someone I reached out to when I was thinking about running for statewide office in 2017. And saw that Representative Longoria is on here as well. And again, someone I got to know as I was traveling the state of Texas, who's just an extraordinary, compassionate, empathetic leader. And I've been thinking about him and his community a lot right now. The entire state is getting hit with the out of control spread of COVID due to the failings of our Republican majority state legislature and our Republican statewide leadership right now. More than 9,300 of our fellow Texans have lost their lives, and so many thousands of those deaths were preventable. And so many of them are concentrated in lower income communities, in Latino communities. El Paso's 85% Mexican American. We had highest daily death total yesterday. And the Rio Grande Valley, 90 to 95% Mexican American, has borne the brunt of this. So to Oscar and the folks in the RGV, really thinking about you, and again, grateful for what you do. I also know that we have Delia Parker Mims on, who's running for county commissioner in Denton County. We support her. We're excited she's running for public office. And then Kim Olson, with whom I ran in 2018. She was running for agriculture commissioner and recently ran for the House. And I think she's got something new up her sleeve to help other candidates up and down ballot. I'm here because I believe in Michelle. And I actually believe that Michelle in 2018 showed us the way as a state for what we have to do in 2020. She just shared with me, I knew that she was up against the odds in 2018 because it had been 34 years since a Democrat had been elected to a state rep position in Denton County. Michelle became the first in more than a generation to do that. But what I did not know, and she just shared with me, is that she was outspent 10-1 in that race. And she showed it's not the power of money or access to special interests or political action committees or corporate cash or any of that jazz. It is the power of people and connecting with those whom you want to serve and represent. And she did that. She worked her heart out and the shoes off her feet, knocking on doors, talking to people, and importantly, listening to them and giving people a chance to believe that she could do it. And she did it. And if we can follow her example across enough other districts in Texas, we're only 9 seats down from a majority for the first time. And the good news is in 17 of the seats that we're trying to capture, because we don't just want a simple majority, we'd really love to crush it in November. 17 of those seats, those candidates lost by less than 8 points, those Democratic contenders in 2018. And in 9 of those seats, and remember, we only need to pick up 9, I won more votes than did Ted Cruz. So in some ways you could argue, not only can we do it, we have done it before. And again, Michelle showed us how to do it. She was running in a very gerrymandered district. In fact, in 2010, 2011, one of her predecessors was the chairman of the redistricting committee. So he drew this to favor the Republican incumbent, and yet Michelle won. And that gives us hope and cause for optimism to win other important races across the state. And for everyone who has donated to Michelle so far, thank you. Everyone who's considering making a donation has not yet. I want you to keep this in mind. Whether or not you live in Michelle's district, Michelle's victory is absolutely critical, because not only do we have to pick up new seats, we have to retain those seats that we picked up in 2018. Michelle is the best example of that. If we do that, and if we end up with a majority in January of 2021, this state, which has long been known for the racial gerrymandering, the most oppressive voter ID regimen in the country, 750 polling locations closed down in the last 8 years in the fastest growing Latino and Black communities in the state of Texas, 144-year history of voter suppression against Black and Mexican American voters. All of that has a counter and a check in a Democratic majority. We can end the racial gerrymandering, begin to draw people back in to our democracy. And after this census, we will be awarded up to 3 new congressional districts. And I would love for those lines to be drawn fairly and inclusively, especially for those communities that have been marginalized and suppressed in the past. When we do that, when everyone can fully participate in our democracy in Texas, this state is going to with gas. And whether it is, and this is one of Michelle's signature issues, expanding healthcare so that our largest provider of mental health care services is no longer our county jail system and more people can qualify for Medicaid, or ensuring that the water that we drink is safe to drink, knowing that there are 48 water systems in the state of Texas where the water that's produced is too dangerous to drink right out of the tap. And she's working to make sure that she is able to successfully counter fracking underneath Dallas's main source of water right now. So she's a champion for the environment, and she's going to make sure that Texas is a leader in confronting climate change before it's too late. She can only take that kind of a leadership role if she's reelected, and if she's reelected into a Democratic majority. So this race is a signature race for Texas. It's why I'm on this call, joining other extraordinary elected leaders and Michelle, and asking you all to pitch in as well. And if you donated once, last thing I'll say, donate again. Michelle's not going to have the opportunity to hold town hall meetings in person, to hold rallies in person, to knock on people's doors. So she needs that extra money to be able to reach them in their homes through Zoom calls like this, or TV ads, or mailers, or Facebook ads, whatever it takes. She's got to get in front of those voters who will decide the most important election going on in Denton County right now. So, Michelle, thank you for running. Thank you for including me in this evening's program. And to everyone getting behind Michelle, thank you for doing that. Looking forward to celebrating with you all on the night of November 3rd. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Beto. It's such a pleasure to see you. I don't know. So Beto has to go in 2 minutes. So if anybody has a question, just type it in the chat. And if not, we'll just continue on. And we are just so excited. it's really good to be in politics right now. I feel like we are just doing so much good. And, you know, when you talk about for the people, I mean, that's what we're here for. I mean, it's healthcare, education, our environment, and all these policies that make us crazy liberals. And if I'm a bleeding heart liberal, so be it. That's what I am. That is not a derogatory term to me. Of course, we should be bleeding heart. We should all be bleeding heart liberals. Anyway, so my staff is laughing. Y'all can't hear them, but they're laughing at me. I don't do very scripted very well. I'm a bird store owner, so you know, I'm going to let some lawyers talk now, and we're going to start. They're laughing at me. But one of the reasons that I have these men on here is that I am fully aware I do not know a whole lot about how the Capitol works and what's going on and what legislations, and I'm very much love being a state representative and helping my constituents and helping constituents that maybe a lot we've come across because our office is so productive that we get a lot of people surrounding areas. A lot of the Republicans really don't do well with their constituent services. So I am always calling my colleagues that have knowledge. And so that's one of the reasons why each one of these colleagues is on here, because I have talked to them all multiple times if I need anything done, you know, if I have a question or where they can direct me. And we're going to start with Raphael Anchia, chair of Malk, and I probably cannot say his name correctly because he's laughing. But whenever I have any kind of immigration questions in the area, I'll reach out to his office. Because we do have them, because our district is changing, and we don't. When we talk about our minority in our district, it's a group of minorities. We have a big Korean population. We have the Latinx population. We have the Muslim population, and you know, it's changing and it's great, and we have all that diversity here. And one of the things I love about this district is we all get along. It's all intermingled. You can't say, oh, this is where the Latin people, Koreans live. Everybody lives everywhere within the district. So it's not like there's set things. And so that's what I love about it. And we do all get along in this district. So I'm going to not read what Raphael Anchia wrote, because if I read it, I'm going to put it on the website later. I might cry because it's so nice, actually, that everybody wrote these nice things about me. But I will read that he is just south of here. He represents a little bit of Farmers Branch and Dallas. Do you have Dallas? I think Dallas.
Yeah.
Mainly Carrollton and Farmers Branch. And I grew up in Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. So when I ran for mayor, Carrollton had a 287G agreement, and I put it on my platform. I didn't even know what a 287G agreement is, but now I knew way more. And it had to do, it came along about the time, it had been there for a while, but it was about the time when Farmers Branch had their all with the apartments where they were asking for citizenship, and then a lot of the Latin population moved into Carrollton, and then Carrollton had a 287G agreement. And it's just not fair. And that was one of the reasons. So whenever I have immigration questions, I call Raphael's office, or him. He's harder to send a lot, so he can be harder to get a hold of. But I'm going to let him talk now a little bit. And I'm just really excited that he's on here. And I hope everybody that's listening, part of it is I was an uneducated voter that didn't really know what the State House did, but the State House just affects your day-to-day life so much. And what we do every other year in Austin really affects you on a very, very high level. So that's one of the reasons I love being in the State House. So, Chairman Anchia.
Michelle, thanks a million. And it's so great to see the nice turnout you have here. I always have such fond memories of spending time with Beto O'Rourke, and I was just recounting some of those times with my mom, and Beto will remember this, but we met, I think, upstairs at Old Ebbett Grill right before Beto was going to sort of take the plunge into the Senate, sharing ideas and experiences. My mom was with me at the time. We had just gone to the White House, in fact, for President Obama's final Christmas party, and I got to take my mom, so she was over the moon. And as we were walking away from the meeting with Beto, she turned to me, she said, you know, that young man is quite earnest. And I, you know, from a 35-year veteran public school teacher to get that type of compliment from her, I think was the greatest endorsement of them all. And she's been a big Beto fan ever since. It's awesome to be on with Joe Moody and Oscar Longoria, two of the top tier leaders in the House of Representatives. Speaker Pro Tem Moody has been just a thought leader, an opinion leader on criminal justice reform. And when we take back the House, we're going to pass all of those bills that are going to de-emphasize incarceration and emphasize reentry, treatment of mental health, and all the root causes of some of the recidivism that we see in the state. And Oscar Longoria is one of our geniuses on the state budget. You all know that we're going to have a really tough session next session. We've got we have this terrible confluence of the mismanagement of the COVID virus, which has led to a recession and at the same time a collapse of oil and gas prices. So we're going to rely and lean very heavily on Oscar to show us the way on how we maintain funding for our public schools, which we really doubled down on last session, and make sure we're taking care of the health and human services need of this state, which continues to grow at an exponential rate. And what can I say about Michelle Beckley? I served with her predecessor in office. And what I want to do is just beg everybody on this call to really support Michelle financially, support her with your energy, with your spirit, with your prayer, so that she can come back to Austin. Because having served with zealots like her predecessor, people who don't care about all of the people in Texas, they really only care about their pet issue, or, you know, creating boogeymen and dividing state, who want to discriminate against LGBTQ Texans, against Hispanic Texans, against immigrant Texans. That was the voting record of her predecessor in office, whether he was supporting and pushing the bathroom bill or SB4, the Papers, Please bill. That was the full breadth of his contribution to the legislature. And candidly, you know, it's going to take Republicans, former Republicans, independents, and Democrats to defeat this scourge of Trumpism that we're seeing in the United States today. So when people say, hey, I'm a former Republican and, you know, will I be welcome with Democrats? I say, hell yes. If they say I'm an independent, you know, is Michelle Beckley the right type of candidate for me? I say, hell yes. Because Michelle was chosen by her friends and neighbors to go represent their interests in Austin. And she's the type of representative that takes that very seriously. She's not controlled by special interest groups. She's not going to go down there for this ideological pet issue and try to get that over the goal line. She's looking out for the best interests of all her constituents. And she described earlier the diversity of the district she represents, which sounds a lot like the diversity that we see throughout this state. And I just beg you, please don't send us more zealots, more people that are driven by ideology. Send us people like Michelle, people who really are going to take off their Democratic or Republican jersey and just put on their Texas jersey and do what's right for the people of the state. Because we've seen a lack of leadership at the federal level and at the state level that, as Beto said correctly earlier, has cost lives, thousands of lives. These are preventable deaths. Leadership matters. And Michelle Beckley is the type of leader that we need down in Austin to make sure that we get the state back on the right track, get the country back on the right track, and just make sure that we're doing the best for everybody, for all Texans, and not for that narrow sliver of Republican primary voters that her predecessor in office only was responsive to. And so I beg you and implore you, lock arms with Beto, lock arms with Joe, with Oscar and me, and stand by Michelle Beckley so that we can bring her back to Austin. Polling numbers that she's going to share look really, really good. We can't take it for granted. We can't go to sleep. We just need to get this to the finish line and bring Michelle Beckley back to Austin. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, everybody, for being on this call.
Thank you, Chairman Anchia. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry, the Zoom got me distracted. I'm not a teacher. I'm not used to it. My sister had to train me on Zoom. My sister is a public school teacher, so she does a lot better than I do. She's been doing it a little longer. So everybody, our next speaker is Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody. And so Joe Moody, one of my priorities is cannabis legalization. And he carried the big bill last cycle, not only criminal justice reform, though he has it wrapped up into it. He also carried that. So whenever we have cannabis questions or criminal justice reform questions and what's actually happening and what bills are being worked on, I can text or call him. And so that is what, and then, you know, he has the, when El Paso a year ago, when the person who came from, it was Collin County, but they grew up in a district very much like the one I grew up in. There was an article I read in NPR about how the district made him do what he did to the immigration population at the Walmart. And one of the comments I had to Joe is like, Joe, but I grew up in that same district. And the thing for me is it made me want to be a legislator to help everybody. A lot of people may not know is that I have a dual citizenship with Australia. My mom's Australian and my husband's British. And, you know, my husband has a green card, but guess what? Nobody ever, when he gets pulled over, he never gets asked for it because he's British and Hungarian. So like when we go to Mexico, he might spontaneously combust. He's so white. And y'all, I'm not kidding at all. So but he doesn't get, and so that was one of the things with the 287G agreement that I was talking about that Carrollton had. I mean, he didn't have a problem, but it could lead to racial profiling, and we definitely do not want that happening. But I just was so honored to work with Joe Moody, who sat with me a little bit on the floor. He was a couple seats ahead, but I would see him every morning being very stressed out, being Speaker Pro Tem. And he was a lot more serious. He's been a lot more fun in the interim than he was during session. And so I will let you now talk, Joe, but y'all, he's an awesome guy. And if you ever reach out to my office, then and have a criminal justice reform question, he's usually the person I call. So there you
go. You're awesome. No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to do this. I'm happy to do it. But yeah, certainly stress level decreases greatly during the interim when you're not under the gun on everything. But no, it's really good to be on here, and Chairman Anchia, Representative Longoria, and Beto. I know Beto had to step off, but I saw some other folks on here. Mark Ferris, I reckon. It's been a while since I've seen you, Mark, but good to see you virtually from a distance. I think even saw Judge Kitty Shield on here from El Paso. So at any rate, we're all here to support Michelle for a lot of reasons, but I'm gonna talk about what she just talked about, right? The challenge that we faced in El Paso a year ago, right? And I represent a district. There's 5 of us out here in El Paso, kind of on a geographic island, but along the Texas-Mexico border. I'm one of 5. One of 5 out here. Oscar's down in the Rio Grande Valley at the other tail end of the Texas-Mexico border. And he can share with you some of the same experiences, right? When we leave our town, we have to go to a border checkpoint. We live a very different experience. And we have, since I've been in the legislature, we have been treated like a political football. And people like to kick us in the teeth and blame all the ills of society on immigrants from Mexico. You have people that have stood on the presidential debate stage and said there were bombs going off in downtown El Paso, which is an outright lie. Demons continually making us the bad guy or the scapegoat for all the things that happen in the state of Texas, and in the name of border security and this and that and the other, session after session after session, getting kicked in the teeth. And finally, we told those people, Oscar told those people, Raphael told those people over and over again, you have to stop this. You keep us out to be the bad guys, that something bad's going to happen. You're putting the target on our back. And on August 3rd last year, someone pulled the trigger and in a very real way brought all of that rhetoric to life in a violent act here in El Paso. And that was a white supremacist who had far too easy access to a high-powered firearm. Issues that we have to confront there. And that's why I know that we need Michelle back, because we won't get to change gun safety laws. We won't get to change or turn the corner on hateful rhetoric about the border unless we have friends and allies. There's only, our delegation along the border isn't large, but we need friends. And we need friends that are gonna, that their actions are gonna speak too. And so Michelle could be a friend of ours. She could vote the right way, and she does on all of our issues. And she could be a friend from a distance and give us a thumbs up and move along. But no, you know what she does? She packs up her whole team. She takes them down to the Rio Grande Valley, meets with Oscar Longoria and his team, sees what's going on in the border, wants to understand it, wants to see it, wants to be there. That's leadership, right? That's leadership in action. That's what you call a servant leader, right? That's understanding what people need and their plight. And it's because she's not a politician. She'll be the first one to tell you that. I grew up in a family of politicians, and so I guess I grew up going to these rubber chicken dinners and all this stuff, and so I kind of grew up in it. That's Michelle. Michelle's a small business owner. She's a member of the community. I mean, she's lives and breathes the community that she works in, and she got frustrated with lack of access to healthcare, and got frustrated with a predecessor that didn't really represent the people in the district. That's why she's in politics, not because she's not trying to promote herself, but trying to promote the people that she represents. And that's the kind of leadership we need. Those are people you can count on. I got to the legislature over a decade ago, and I was at the time was the youngest member. Very much not so anymore, but you learn a lot over that time, and you get to separate those that are there's show horses and there's workhorses, right? And there's people that get shit done. I told you I was going to curse on this. Michelle is she's gonna get shit done. The other thing is, she lives by one of the core tenets that Beto lives by, and he sent me a note. I was going to share this. He sent me a note back in 2012 when I was running. I won, I lost, and then I came back to the House. I was in one of these frontline districts like Michelle's in, although she won't have to go through the misery that I went through if we all do our job this cycle, right? Get her back. It took me 4 years to get back for a sophomore session. So he wrote me a note in 2012, and the number one rule on that note, he said, don't take any, and I've tried to follow that the best that I can. And one of the other rules he said was be bold, even at the expense of being controversial, right? And there's some core principles that Michelle walked into the building with those principles, right? And no one had to send her a note to tell her that. And you need genuine leadership. You need real leadership. I can't tell you, the session before she got there, and the guy that she replaced, didn't respect us, didn't respect the border, had no use for us, was openly hostile towards Hispanic members, didn't hide it. And it was the hardest session that I've ever been through, and a lot to do with what he was doing legislatively. And we've turned a corner, and I don't want to go back. I'm tired of playing defense. We're very good at it. Democrats are very good at playing defense. I want to play some offense. So Representative Chia talked about putting on jerseys. I'll follow with the metaphor. I want to play offense. I don't want to play defense anymore. I want healthcare. I want to take care of our environment. I want to do all these things that Michelle's a leader on. So give and give again, volunteer when you can't give. And let's all put our oars in the water and row in the same direction, because that's to get to where we want to go. So happy to be here. Happy to support you, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I guess Kitty Sheld is a judge. Did you just say that? Okay, so that doesn't have it on her. I don't know. I don't even know who my judges are, so y'all are gonna have to bear with me. They're all Republican, I can tell you that. So who is my Republican opponent? Her name's Kronda Thimish, and Ron Simmons is the dude I beat, has like pretty much put her up to run against me. Though the good news is she's not polling that well, so we're going to get to that later. And we're just going to keep our plan and keep rowing the same way we're going. And you know, hard work is what flips districts, and I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not afraid to be the outspoken person out there. And anyways, so I'm going to keep going with ours. Does anybody have any? We have some redistricting. You're right. Redistricting is definitely on the table. So one fun fact, because I know we have some people from out of other different areas, Collin and Denton County are some of the fastest growing counties in the state of Texas. And before the pandemic hit, I went to a couple of the redistricting meetings to actually just, you know, see what was going on and what was talking about. And both counties have had over 30% growth. So we are going to get more representation in Collin and Denton County. 1 or 2 or possibly 3 state reps are going to be up here. So, I mean, it is really important that we get this, these districts drawn fairly. And so that we can get the representation and get rid of the gerrymandering that has been on there. And even Dallas County, they're so generous, and Tarrant County, pretty much throughout the state. But we need to make sure that we get them drawn correctly, and that there's going to be a lot of shifting in this 2020 because of the Texas growth from who knows, is it going to be 2022? Who knows what we're doing? There's some letters we've been signing on to lately about the I'm just blanked out. The census. Sorry, guys. So anyways, I'm going to get on to Oscar, Chairman Longoria, who I originally was on because of the pandemic. You meet people that you really, Representative Longoria. I'm sorry, he's vice chair, actually. Get everybody's title straight. I am very awful at everybody's title. I just know him as Oscar, so we're gonna just go with Oscar. We have all these Zoom meetings. The pandemic has, while it's horrible, I feel like it's just made us all reach out to each other, and now we find these great ways. We would not have probably been doing a Zoom like this with people from all over the state because we didn't know we had that capability, but it forced us to adapt. And the Democrats are really good about evolving because we believe in science. But yeah, so Oscar is really good with the budget, and we had a budget meeting on, kind of did his briefing to everybody, but I had some warning bells go off in my head, and so I called him. I got his number, I don't know who from, and called him, said, could you go over some more details, tell me about appropriations? And honestly, I wanted to be on appropriations. I didn't get any of the committees that I wanted, and I had wanted really to be on appropriations to just really know how everything works, how the money plays. And for me, it's not the prestige of it as much as actually what is going on. And so I called him, and we've had just these long discussions about all of what the appropriations and what that's going to look like, so that we can hit the ground running. It's going to be. I also when we do our Facebook posts and stuff, our district, they love butterflies in this district, and the butterfly international butterfly thing that has the fake wall that is there happens to be borders into his district. Part of it is in his district. So I brought my team down there, and I wanted to see, you know, what the nature is and what's happening to the destruction of the environment from the wall. That was my big concern. I don't need to go see, you know, all the people with the guns that are protecting or whatever. Honestly, when you look across the Rio Grande Valley, goats on the other side, and the little in the Mexican side, they actually look like they may be having a cocktail. It looks a lot nicer than the American side right now. I personally would want to be over there because it looks like you're just there chilling by the river. So I'm going to let Oscar talk a little bit now that I've just talked about so much, but he does represent a gorgeous part of Texas that I'm very happy to have seen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you, Beto, Speaker Pro Tem Moody, Chairman Anchia, for being on this call as well. You know, having the privilege to represent South Texas, I represent both Hidalgo and Cameron counties. I was born and raised on the border. My grandfather, several decades ago, came as part of the Bracero program from Mexico, came to work in the farm and agriculture business, and he raised his family here. My mother was one of the first in her family to get a college degree. And, you know, a couple of decades later, I'm in the Texas legislature. So South Texas is near and dear to me. Many times representatives, both federal and state, come down to South Texas to take pictures of, you know, the gunner boats, Border Patrol, and what they're doing to kind of, you know, enforce this border wall, right? Surprisingly, Michelle came down, and I don't think she took any pictures alongside the wall or with any gunner boats or any type of law enforcement type of activity. What she did was she came down to the beauty of South Texas and nature, and she came to visit the butterflies. And it's amazing because I think in all the years that I've been elected official, I don't think anybody's come out here and taken the opportunity to look at the butterflies and look at the beauty that South Texas has to offer. So it really is a change of pace, but I think that's the type of person she is. You know, South Texas is diverse, and it has a great socioeconomic area, a heavily Latino, a lot of first generation individuals come here and settle down and want to continue and seek opportunity and try to go for that American dream. You know, the big thing for us down here in South Texas is healthcare and education, like I think everyone else in this entire state and nation. You know, this past legislative session, you know, I was able to see Michelle. She got elected. You know, her predecessor and her are very different. She's very pragmatic. You know, she's a staunch Democrat, but I think it's important to know that she's willing to work in a bipartisan fashion whenever there's issues that affect the entire state. And she's really just trying to crank out good policy for all Texans and, of course, for her district. I'm anxious to work with her this upcoming session. It's important we get her back into the State House. I feel very confident she's going to be victorious, but I always joke around with her. The only two ways to run are scared or unopposed. So we have to run like we're down, but I really believe, you know, we're going to be up, and I believe victorious come November 3rd. I think, you know, for Michelle, my relationship's very interesting because she is my colleague, but more importantly, I consider her a friend first and foremost. So I tell her, even when I'm outside of the legislature and I no longer have the privilege of serving and decide to retire and hang them up, I think with a lifelong friendship. So, you know, I urge everybody to go out there and vote for Michelle Beckley, but more importantly, at this point in time, to donate. And I want to kind of throw a little tidbit in Spanish. Es muy importante que salen todos a votar para representante estatal Michelle Beckley. Y por favor, dona los fondos que se necesitan para que aseguramos que segura para adelante con su campaña en noviembre 3 para el distrito que representa ella.
Are you frozen? I can't tell. You're not.
Did you get it, Michelle? Yeah. All right. I didn't know it froze a little bit.
No, we got all of that. I don't know what you said though. But I saw Raphael and Tia smiling, so it must have been good. So, sometimes you just go with emotions, right? I am so thankful for everybody. Does everybody have, so apparently we've got a lot of Speaker Moody on here. We're not going to have that conversation tonight. That is a drama that we just really need to first flip the house, and that drama can come on November 4th, which I'm sure it's going to come on November 4th. It's kind of rumbling around, but we're just not going to talk about that drama. And because we all know what that drama is. And I am just looking to see if there's anything, when is the census? We sure need to get the census completed. Yeah, by the way, if everybody hasn't filled out your census, please go fill out your census online. It is so important because that's where we're going to get the resources that we need to help deal with the pandemic and all of our infrastructure, and get the representation in Washington that the state of Texas deserves with the population. So everybody needs to fill out their census. I'm just trying to see if there's any questions. Somebody had asked Beto about the U.S. Post Office. Sorry, I did not see it till after. We did put it in, and I know who asked it. And if he answers, I will give you an email on that. I'll just give you a personal response that way. So now we are going to let Delia Parker Mims, who is running for County Commissioner seat 3, speak a little bit. I'm so excited because I'm going to have a friend in Denton County that is at the county level for sure. Her district is so flippable. And you guys, I know this is a fundraiser for me, but you know, if you feel like you want to give a little more to her too, because these down ballots have a lot of hard time raising money. So I am so excited. She calls me because we have the same drama, and politics is drama. And so sometimes you just need a girlfriend to have a cocktail with. And so we do that probably every time we can. Anyway, so, but I'm just going to let her speak a little bit about what her platform is. And I do believe I'm sorry, I got to go look at her name. So Dr. Carla Braley is on here as well with the Vice Chair of the Texas Democratic Party. And she's going to speak for a minute too. So Delia, come on, tell everybody how you are doing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I want to thank you, Michelle, for allowing me to be here. I think I'm probably the only candidate speaking. I'm very honored to do that. You've been a very good friend to our campaign. Thank you, Beto, and all the representatives. Shout out to all of my El Pasoans. In case you didn't know it, I'm from El Paso. So hopefully that will inspire y'all to look up this local race and drop a little something there. Briefly, I'm running for county commissioner, and as all of you representatives are in Austin making those laws, making Texas better, safer, stronger, you need county commissioners to get those things implemented at the county level. So most people don't know what county commissioners do. Certainly in our district, they don't know that because they don't do anything. But what their main job to do is to be the administrative arm of the state representatives. So I need a Michelle Beckley in Austin, and she needs a Delia Parker Mims at the county commissioner level so that we can work together and tag team all these people here who are trying to kill us because they're listening to the bad science and following their party. I'm inspired by Michelle. She flipped her seat when there was no roadmap to flip. So that gives me inspiration to move forward and flip. And a large part of my district covers Michelle's district, or they intertwine. So we know that there's some flippable room in there. And we know that House District 65, where Michelle Beckley is working, she's working it. So that's going to help our district win. Beto won a large part of my county commissioner district. And some implement a voting center, which you representatives have already said we can do, but in Denton County, we don't do that because as Beto mentioned, suppressing the right to vote of marginalized people like Blacks and Hispanics is what they do best. And they do that in this district as well. We have one voting precinct in Louisville for early voting, but we had 2 in Flower Mound. And those of you know anything about Louisville and Flower Mound, such, even though Louisville is larger. So one thing I want to do is increase access to voting. And when that happens, that impacts all of the other races. So that maybe someone like when Beto won and won 46%, if we had more access to voting or easier access, maybe he could have won that. So that is a very important position. And of course, we all know what they've done with COVID and how our county level officials, the governor who's following the president who told everybody to drink Clorox. So it's important that we have people at the county commission level to work with all of you representatives. Inspired by her, she's not only a great, strong Democrat and representative, I know she's going to maintain this seat. She's already flipped it. She's going to maintain this seat, do great things in Austin, and I'm going to be proud to be at the county level to work with her and hopefully get some of what she has so we can both put our foot, where, so we can get things done. So thank you for having me here, Michelle.
Thank you, Delia. So is Dr. Carla Braley still on, or did she leave? I'm not sure.
I'm on.
Oh, you're on. Okay. I don't have I have just the big screen on. So I would like Dr. Carla Braley to give us a little heads up of what the TDP is doing, because all of this intermingles together. And, at the end of the day, we would like to flip our state entirely as well as our county. And I think there's a possibility of Denton County actually flipping this cycle. There is a small possibility, but it's in the realm. So I'm going to let Dr. Braley speak a little bit about what the TDP is doing. So thank you very much, Dr. Braley.
Thank you for having me. I will not overstate my welcome. I want to first say thank you for running and winning. We already know what leadership can do when we don't have good leadership over 4 years. So imagine over 30 years that it took you to show up and be courageous enough to run and win. So thank you again. You are already showing your leadership both through legislation, but just on the fundraising. This is my first time attending one of your events, and you're already promoting the meaning of having candidates to be here and emphasize the importance of voting down the ballot. That is how we win Texas locally, through our precinct chairs, working with various positions. Those are very important. And so thank you for doing that, because you don't have to do that, but you know the importance of that. At TDP, you all know that we have increased a substantial amount of our staff. At one point, Texas was exporting all the dollars, and now I can say that we are importing. So we have donors that we have not had before that is able to fund positions of organizing, constituency development, positions that are very well needed to do the outreach that we have to do, not only to go blue, but to stay blue, because I think we can all agree that we don't ever want to be back in this place that we're in now. For the legislators who are on the call, it's always good to be able to have colleagues that you can brag about, but just think all the work that you're doing, if we can flip that house, what that would mean. And so for me, I just wanted really to introduce myself, to say that I'm in full support of not only you, Michelle Beckley, but really everybody who is running across the state, because I believe that this is an election of a lifetime. And I think we're going blue. And like I tell everyone, when Texas goes blue, the nation goes blue. So as Texans, we just have to think big, go big, and do big. If you're already working harder, work harder. If you've already working the hardest, then you find others to train, and so that they can work hard with you. And so I'm here. You can find me, on the website. I am stationed in Houston, but we're all stationed via internet now. So however I can be of assistance to you, please let me know. And just thank you to all that have ran, that have won, and that are helping others and continue to do the civic service that we need to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And on that note, I'm going to let everybody know that our next fundraising event that we're going to host as our campaign, as the highest ranked elected official in Denton County, because there's 2 of us, Democratic. I am going to host a fundraiser event we've invited every Democrat that's running on the ballot that's in Denton County. So we're going to do that, and then I will have the dates next month or something, whenever. So we're going to do a Zoom. We're working out the details on that because the good news is I want to make sure all the Republicans are busy so they stay out of my district. And so that is what we're going to do. We're going to ensure that the Republicans are not bored this cycle. They are going to have plenty to think they can do. The great news is their data is worse than ours. Thank you. Thank you for that. The hard work that Denton County is doing. We have better data, because when I started in 2017, we did not have good data. It was pretty sad. But the good news is I'm going to have my staff put our memo from our poll that we had debriefing on. And Dr. Carla, you might pass out when you see what's going on in this district, because this one, remember, is Denton County. This is not Dallas County, but the spread for Biden to Trump is 15% in Denton County. So y'all take a deep breath and don't pass out. We need to make sure it stays there. So Biden is at 55%. Trump is at 40. This is well out range of the margin of error. The good news is I am 14 points ahead of my opponent. And it stays the same no matter if she does negative messaging, but we have a lot of room to go with the positive message. The reality is these voters in this district love the Democratic platform that we're running on. They really just want some common sense. And we've got COVID and healthcare and education. One of our school districts did not do well with HB3. So they know we have to go back and do some work on that bill for them. And let's talk, HB3, which is a school bill, would probably not have happened if we had not flipped 12 seats. So how much more can we do if we flip 12 more? That's what I have to say. And so remember, this was the chairman of redistricting that drew this district, and we're going to do really well. So there's a whole bunch of this poll that we're not going to share because that is personal, and we're going to keep it that way. But just know that our Democratic messaging is doing way better than any Republican messaging that they have. And any hits that they have against me don't hurt me. So we are very excited on the detailed poll. And that probably was the first poll that has been done in Denton County ever. So that definitely for me, that was the first poll I had ever done for me. So to be 14 points ahead means we're going to win this. I mean, I think that I feel very confident. And I think you've got just a comedy of everything going on. You've got Trump, you've got a pandemic, and the mishandling that Abbott has done, and the lack of leadership. I guess I should say Governor Abbott, but I don't use anybody's title. I'm equal about that. But I think that we have to just keep pushing ahead, but we cannot rest on our laurels. That is not anything I have ever done. For those of you who don't know, I finished a triathlon, an Ironman triathlon. In the bike ride, I had 2 flat tires and a broken spoke. I still finished and did my marathon after that. So I don't give up. And we are going to keep going on this. And we really just need help. And if you guys can't donate money, the biggest thing we need is phone bankers. That is what we need. And if we can do it virtually, we can Zoom with you, we can help you. But we really need that. If you can't donate money, please give us some time. And that is really what we have. I'm so excited about these numbers, and y'all were the first to see them. I haven't released it to the press yet. Though one of them, I did give a little bit of something. I heard one of the press that the Republicans have been telling him all week that they're going after me, that the Republicans have me on there. And my response was, good, spend your money here because we've got districts to flip and you're not flipping this one. So we're really, really excited. And I will be talking to him on Monday. It was a little off the record teaser that I gave him. So I think that the reality is this isn't a Dallas County numbers. These are Denton County, the last bastion of Republican, and where a lot of Tea Party people live and Empowered Texan people live, and they are going to be represented by Democrats for a very long time. So I'm very excited with our polling and what's going on. And I have messages. I'm going to scroll over here real quick and see what we got. So we've got my staff is putting all the information in there. We have mobilizing for phone banking. And you guys, if you don't want to phone bank like during that time, you can do it on your own. Like you don't have to do it with people, or, if you want to kind of go on, we can even train you. John, or my campaign manager, is happy to do a little jump on a Zoom with you and go through it with you if you need to. And I am just very excited. And I think that, is there any other questions? Does anybody have a question that you would like to ask anybody before we sign off? Because I know that there are some people who have other things.
Yeah. I didn't know what was happening. You were.
Any questions? No questions. We have no questions. Everybody's doing it. Well, we had a mobilizing thing. And so, yeah, thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate it. Thank you. I can't see Chairman Anchia anymore. And Speaker Pro Tem Moody, Oscar Longoria, Representative Oscar. Thank you, guys. I'm very, very excited about flipping the Texas House. And I feel very confident that we are going to do this. So Good night, you guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for donating. I know this has been a great week. We have Kamala Harris as our vice president elect. I mean, I know it's like, wow, thank goodness, all that. Let's just get the drama over, because we knew there was going to be drama no matter who they picked. Let's just get it over and let's just fight on. Good night, guys.